I almost didn't go. That's the part that still feels strange. If my phone battery had died earlier, if work had run 10 minutes longer, if I had trusted my first instinct, none of it would have happened. The invitation came from an old college friend. Nothing unusual. Short message. Dinner tonight. Small group. You should come. I stared at it for a while. I hadn't been going out much. Work. Routine. Excuses. The kind that sound responsible until you realize they're just loneliness wearing a tie. I almost typed no instead. I wrote, I'll come. The restaurant was nicer than expected. Warm lights. Quiet music. People talking like they had nowhere else to be. I walked in expecting familiar faces, but the table only had one person. A woman sitting near the window. She looked up, smiled, then stood. I stopped. Wrong table. I checked my phone. Checked again. Same reservation. Same location. She looked amused, then said, "You're late." I blinked. "Sorry." She laughed. Not mocking. Comfortable. Like she knew something I didn't. Then she pointed to the chair. "Sit." I sat still, confused. I looked around. Nobody else. I finally asked, "Are people coming?" She smiled, then said, "No." I waited. Then she said, "I'm your blind date." I actually laughed. Because obviously. Wrong person. Wrong situation. Wrong table. She nodded. That was my reaction too. I stared, then pulled out my phone. One new message. Sent an hour earlier. "Trust me." I looked up. She smiled. "Your friend knows my cousin." I leaned back. "This feels illegal." She laughed. And suddenly, I relaxed. Not because I believed in blind dates, but because she looked equally confused. She held up her phone. Same message. "Trust me." For a minute we just laughed at how ridiculous the situation was. Then came the awkward part. The moment where both people decide whether to leave. She looked at the menu, then looked at me, then said, "We can order food and complain about our friends." I smiled. That actually sounds reasonable. So we stayed. At first, easy questions. Work, family, movies. Nothing deep. But something felt different. No performing. No trying to impress. Maybe because neither of us planned this. No expectations. No script. Halfway through dinner, she asked, "What's something people get wrong about you?" I smiled, then answered honestly, "They think I like being alone." She looked at me, then nodded. "I get that." I asked her the same question. She thought for a second, then smiled. "People think because I'm independent." She looked out the window. "I don't want someone." That stayed with me. Not because it was dramatic. Because it was simple. The conversation changed after that. We stopped talking about jobs. Started talking about life. Bad years. Missed chances. Parents getting older. Dreams that quietly became backup plans. At one point she laughed and said, "This is weird." I asked why. She smiled. "Because I usually know after 15 minutes. I looked up. "Know what?" She smiled again. "If I'm pretending." That made me laugh. Then she added, "I'm not pretending tonight." That sentence stayed in my head. Dinner stretched longer. Coffee became dessert. Dessert became another hour. At one point the waiter smiled and asked, "Celebrating something?" We looked at each other. Then she said, "Unexpected decisions." He looked confused. We laughed. When we finally left, it was colder outside. We stood near the sidewalk. That awkward ending moment. I said, "Well," she smiled. Then suddenly asked, "Can I ask something?" I nodded. She looked directly at me. "When was your last actual date?" I thought, then realized I didn't know. She noticed. Then quietly said, "That's too long." I laughed. Then asked, "What about you?" She smiled. Long enough to forget dating isn't supposed to feel like an interview. We stood there for a second. Then she looked at me and said, "I'm glad I came." Simple sentence. Unexpected effect. I smiled. "Me too." She took a few steps, then turned around and said, "By the way." I looked up. She smiled. If this had gone badly, I laughed. Yeah. She pointed. We agreed to blame our friends. I laughed. She smiled. Then added, but now I guess we have to thank them. 3 months later, our friends acted like masterminds. Like they engineered destiny. They didn't. All they did was interrupt two people who had gotten too comfortable saying maybe later. That night wasn't magic. It didn't solve life. It didn't guarantee forever. But it reminded me of something. Sometimes the best moments don't arrive looking important. Sometimes they look like an invitation you almost ignore. This is DarkInk Stories. And sometimes life changes quietly, one unexpected seat at a time.